Today is Thursday, October 30th, 2025, and this is Read Through the Bible.
The Bible tells us that we should be kind to others. And we see an example today in 2 Samuel chapter 9 of David being kind to Mephibosheth.
Yes, and Mephibosheth is a son of Jonathan, who was the son of Saul.
And for the sake of David's relationship with Jonathan, because he loved and cared, he just, can I show kindness, even though he's dead, anybody from his house? And the one person from his house who was still alive was this lame man, Mephibosheth, who, it's a really sad story. In 2 Samuel chapter 4 is told about how he's trying to flee, and he was 5 years old, and he was dropped, and he broke his leg somehow, and they didn't have orthopedic surgeons in those days to repair his leg, and so he became a cripple from that day forward, and David just showed kindness to Mephibosheth.
Yep. Okay, here we go. Chapter 9, verse 1. And David said, "Is there still anyone left of the house of Saul that I may show him kindness for Jonathan's sake?" Now, there was a servant of the house of Saul whose name was Ziba, and they called him to David. And the king said to him, "Are you Ziba?" And he said, "I am your servant." And the king said, he was probably scared. And the king said, "Is there not still someone of the house of Saul that I may show the kindness of God to him?" Ziba said to the king, "There is still a son of Jonathan. He is crippled in his feet." The king said to him, "Where is he?" And Ziba said to the king, "He is in the house of Machir, the son of Ammiel at Lodabar." Then the King David sent and brought him from the house of Machir, the son of Ammiel at Lodabar. And Mephibosheth, the son of Jonathan, son of Saul, came to David and fell on his face and paid homage. And David said, "Mephibosheth." And he answered, "Behold, I am your servant." And David said to him, "Do not fear, for I will show you kindness for the sake of your father Jonathan, and I will restore to you all the land of Saul your father, and you shall eat at my table always." That's amazing. And he paid homage and said, "What is your servant that you should show regard for a dead dog such as I?"
And just think about here in verses 1 through 8, kindness is mentioned 3 times. It's mentioned verse 1, it's mentioned verse 3, it's mentioned verse 7, that this is the motive. David just wants to show kindness to someone for Jonathan's sake, and so he shows kindness to this crippled man. And then the king called Ziba, Saul's servant, and said to him, "All that belonged to Saul and to all his house I have given to your master's grandson," that is to Mephibosheth. "And you and your sons and your servants shall till the land for him, and shall bring in the produce, that your master's grandson may have bread to eat. But Mephibosheth, your master's grandson, shall always eat at my table." Now Ziba had 15 sons and 20 servants. Then Ziba said to the king, "According to all that my lord the king commands his servant, so will your servant do." So Mephibosheth ate at David's table like one of the king's sons. And this is, again, I think David having the heart of God, just showing kindness, even Saul's grandson, just because of Jonathan's sake, just going to seek to help him. And Mephibosheth had a young son whose name was Micah. And all who lived in Ziba's house became Mephibosheth's servants. So Mephibosheth lived in Jerusalem, for he always ate at the king's table. Now he was lame in both his feet. So I think a good summary here, chapter 9, is just that David shows kindness to Mephibosheth, a crippled son of Jonathan, for Jonathan's sake.
Yeah. And even if you go back to 1 Samuel 20, verse 42, you have a scene where David and Jonathan make a covenant with each other before they part ways because Saul's pursuing David. And Jonathan says, "The Lord shall be between me and you, and between my offspring and your offspring forever." And then he arose and departed. But just that was part of their covenant, to even be faithful to each other's offspring.
And David was being true to that covenant, that promise he made with David long beforehand. At least 7 years ago.
Right.
Because that's how long he reigned in Hebron after Saul had passed away, after Jonathan had died as well.
Probably more.
Probably more, yeah.
Okay, chapter 10. After this, the king of the Ammonites died, and Hanun his son reigned in his place. And David said, "I will deal loyally with Hanun the son of Nahash, as his father dealt loyally with me." So David sent by his servants to console him concerning his father. And David's servants came into the land of the Ammonites. Okay, so David sent servants to Hanun just to send condolences to Hanun because his father died. But the princes of the Ammonites said to Hanun their lord, "Do you think because David has sent comforters to you that he is honoring your father? Has not David sent his servants to search the city and to spy it out and to overthrow it?"
So they shamed him.
Right. And so they're presuming bad motives on these servants. So Hanun took David's servants and shaved off half the beard of each and cut off their garments in the middle at their hips and sent them away. When it was told David, he sent to meet them, for the men were greatly ashamed. And the king said, "Remain at Jericho until your beards have grown, and then return."
And there's some cultural things going on here.
Yeah.
Obviously, the long beards of men were very honored, and somehow in cutting them off, and I imagine them grabbing them by the beards, taking a knife, and just going, kind of cutting them off so they're shorter, and they were shamed. And so they were told to wait there until their beards grew out. How long is that going to be? A year, 2?
Could be a while.
Pretty big beards. When the Ammonites saw that they had become a stench to David, the Ammonites sent and hired the Syrians of Beth Rehob and the Syrians of Zobah, 20,000 foot soldiers, and the king of Makkah with 1,000 men, and the men of Tob 12,000 men. And when David heard of it, he sent Joab and all the host of the mighty men. And the Ammonites came out and drew up in battle array at the entrance of the gate. And the Syrians of Zobah and of Rehob and the men of Tob and Makkah were by themselves in the open country.
When Joab saw that the battle was set against him, because Joab is David's general, he saw that the battle was set against him, both in front and in the rear. He chose some of the best men of Israel and arrayed them against the Syrians. The rest of his men he put in the charge of Abishai, his brother, and he arrayed them against the Ammonites.
I love this deal here in verse 11, how they're going to conquer these armies.
And he said, "If the Syrians are too strong for me, then you shall help me. But if the Ammonites are too strong for you, then I will come and help you. Be of good courage, and let us be courageous for our people, for the cities of our God, and may the Lord do what seems good to him." So Joab and the people who were with him drew near to battle against the Syrians, and they fled before him. And when the Ammonites saw that the Syrians fled, they likewise fled before Abishai and entered the city. Then Joab returned from fighting against the Ammonites and came to Jerusalem.
But when the Syrians saw that they had been defeated by Israel, they gathered themselves together, and Hadadezer sent and brought out of the Syrians who were beyond the Euphrates. They came to Helam with Shobach, the commander of the army of Hadadezer, at the head. And when it was told David, he gathered all Israel together and crossed the Jordan and came to Helam. The Syrians arrayed themselves against David and fought with him, and the Syrians fled before Israel. And David killed of the Syrians the men of 700 chariots and 40,000 horsemen, and wounded Shobach, the commander of the army, so he died there. And when all the kings who were servants of Hadadezer saw that they had been defeated by Israel, they made peace with Israel and became subject to them. So the Syrians were afraid to save the Ammonites anymore. Okay,
a whole bunch of battles going on, all because these servants of David were ashamed when they went to Hanun.
Yeah, so Hanun really disrespects David's servants by cutting off half their beards. That's really which stirred then David defeating the Ammonites and the Syrians. Basically, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Okay, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.